Welcome to Chai with Molly, a show where we celebrate diversity the Canadian way. I'm your host, Molly, and I have been looking so much forward to seeing you this week. We have an amazing show in store for you, so stay with us. We have in a studio a very special guest who's no stranger to you. He has served the people of Toronto for 25 years as a member of parliament. But after all those years, he has decided now to serve his constituents at the city council as a councillor. So let's find out why he decided to make this change. Welcome to our show, Jim.
Thank you, Molly. Appreciate it.
So before we get into this conversation, I'm sure a whole lot of people are wondering why you decided to make this change.
Number one, I want to thank you for bringing me to the show, Chai with Molly.
Our pleasure.
I've served as a member of parliament for over 25 years. I got to know a lot of communities, work with a lot of communities, traveled the world with a lot of communities. But at the end of the day, what made me change prisms and look at different things, my father died in 2013. Two of my uncles died. One of them was my wife's and the other one was my uncle. And then just before Christmas 2013, my mother-in-law died. I was the last plane to leave Canada to go there for the funeral. So we spent New Year's, Christmas and New Year's with my father-in-law. And my wife sort of looked at me and says, I want you home. I want you to be close to us. Besides that, my mom is 85 years old. She's suffering with vertigo. And she has broken her wrist. She has broken her leg. At my dad's funeral, she had broken leg. And I decided to be close to her, and I decided to be at home. Mom gets dizzy spells, and every couple of days, we call them episodes, she will see the room spinning, and she'll call me, and I can't respond if I'm in Ottawa. So after 25 years of doing the parliamentary work, I decided that I'd like to change focus, and I'd like to do something with the city. I started municipally. I was the president of Greektown at the time. It was called Danforth Village. I ran provincially. I didn't make it. I made it federally, thank God. And now I want to try my luck with the city and bring some sense to the city council, which is very dysfunctional.
Well, very. This is one of the most dysfunctional city councils, and this is a consensus that all the people of Toronto seem to have. So it's good that there's someone who's going to be going there to make some sense.
You know, unfortunately, what is happening municipally, we need to focus like not only in our own little ward, but we need to focus what we need to do for the city.
Yes.
In the past 50 years, there's been absolutely no infrastructure building in Toronto. There have been no new highways, no new streets, nothing, absolutely. And yet we've got all these high rises that are going up. We've got more and more people coming to Toronto, and we're busting at the seams because we don't have the capacity to look after these people. The transit system, I mean, we haven't built one subway stop in almost 50 years. We have not done anything new. So these things, we got to stop talking and we got to start doing. And unfortunately, everybody talks and nobody does.
That's right. So tell us, we know you're going to win. That's not going to be an issue. Yes.
God willing.
God willing, you will win, because people know that you are a doer, and you have a solid track record of someone who actually believes in doing something. So what is going to be on your agenda, number one agenda?
My platform right now has 5 pillars.
Okay.
Pillar number 1 in my ward 39, which is Victoria Park, Pinch. It comes down to Birchmount to Huntingwood, across, and then goes up the railway track between Kennedy and Midland and along Steeles. We have the hospital, Scarborough Grace. And Scarborough Grace, although this is a provincial issue, but Scarborough Grace has been falling behind. They're fixing Scarborough General, and the Scarborough General Grace campus is lagging behind because all the money that Scarborough General brings in is to look after the site of McCowan and Lawrence. I have had personal experience with that hospital, and I can go on ad infinitum, but however, I'll give you 3 scenarios. One, my father, when he died, he was at Scarborough General at Lawrence and Markham, and I wanted him closer to home, and I said, will you please transfer him to the Birchmount Scarborough Grace campus? I said, we have no oncology department. So how can you be a full functional hospital if you don't have an oncology department? Number two, my wife had to do a test, and she was being looked after by a doctor, a woman doctor at Scarborough General, and which was at Lawrence and McCowan. And I said, can she do the procedure at Scarborough Grace? And then she turned around and says, oh, they don't know what they're doing at Scarborough Grace, quote unquote. Okay.
That's
so
scary.
We found another doctor from Scarborough Grace. Tula did all the tests and everything else, and 2007 March 7, my wife breaks her leg. Broke her leg at Birchmount and Eglinton, and the closest hospital was Birchmount Scarborough Grace campus. And we asked that she be taken there in order to be looked after. And EMS said that, I'm sorry, we have to take her to another hospital, and they took her to Toronto East General. Toronto East General is about 12 kilometers away from my wife.
That's far. That's East York.
That's East York. So there you go. Scarborough Grace, which was a fully functional hospital, in my family alone, 3 instances, it has failed us. So number one platform is that we need to make sure that Scarborough Grace is a fully functional hospital and it's not a part-time hospital. Number two, build a subway along Shepherd. Subway along Shepherd is a must. It's something that we talk, put it on the table, take it off the table, we'll put it on an LRT, then we'll put a subway and all that stuff. The people of Scarborough Ancient Court want a subway, period, full stop in the story. And they wanted to do this, and people are saying, well, there's no high density, there's no rise. But people are starting to build along Shepherd. There's Shepherd and Kennedy. There's buildings going on behind the hotel. There's more buildings scheduled. So we need the subway. Number three, we have to make sure that our seniors are taken care of. And our seniors, I mean, I have a community which is growing older. I have a community which wants to live at home and fulfill their sunset years, at their home and have the home comfort. So the city has to look at means and ways in order to look after our seniors, not only Scarborough Ancient, but across the city. We talk the talk, now it's about time that we do the walk. The people like my mom that worked all their lives, she wants to stay at home. She wants to have care at home. So we, a city, we as individuals, we as politicians have to be able to provide for these folks to stay at home. And the last thing, which is very important in my writing, is we need to make sure that crime stays at a low level. Thank God for the last 10 years we're sensible and we have got the crime rate is very, very low. There was a time that we had a bedroom rapist, and what he would do, he would travel along a creek that we have, and he would go and rape women in their bedrooms. So there was a time there that I worked with 42 Division. We sent letters to everybody. We gave them instructions on what to do. We had town hall meetings, and the guy was caught. And then we had the ever famous grow houses. I mean,
that's right. That was a major problem.
Major problem. Every street in my area had 1 or 2 grow houses. I actually went out, and people called me the, if you want to call it the investigator, they called me the crazy individual. But I actually, helped the police bust a couple of grow houses. There were people that I knew there was a grow house, and a guy went in. I blocked him with a car. I left my car there. I called the police, and the police came and they busted the guy. This was on 117 Huntsville. They got 117 Huntsville. They got 600 plants, and this was about 5 doors away from my kids to school. So you have to make sure that you're not only the member of parliament, you're not only the city councillor, but you also live there.
Exactly.
And not only that you live there, but you live there for a long time. There's a few people running that. I just found out that this is a nice place to run, and they're coming visiting us, and they want to run and make a difference. Well, people of Scarborough Ancient, at the end of the day, will make a difference, and people will know who to choose. The other issue that we have, which is part of transit, TTC wants to build a garage at Kennedy and McNichol.
Okay.
And they want to put it behind a senior's home, and besides a high school. There's 2 seniors' homes there, 2 seniors' homes and a high school. So they want to put a TTC garage there, 200 cars, all kinds of. So I'm sort of saying, I said to TTC, look, why don't you build this garage in an industrial area? This is a residential area. These are seniors that live there. We have about 250 seniors living there. It went in the one ear and out the other ear.
The health would be affected, definitely.
Definitely.
With all the fumes.
And the fumes and everything else that's there. I mean, like a bus comes out and a kid is going to school. This is Mary Ward High School. You got a bus and a kid. What's going to happen? The kid's going to lose. And we're going to have an accident.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, when an accident happens, we're going to have people say, why didn't somebody speak up? well, this is what I'm doing. I'm speaking up right now in order to make sure that there's a change that happens. And Scarborough, I mean, city council said to Scarborough, suck it up, quote unquote. And that has me infuriated. That has me totally furious. And one of the things that I want to do is, but also make sure that Scarborough stands up.
Exactly. You know, like we just feel that we, people of Scarborough, and I'm one of them, and we just feel that we really got our short end of the stick, you know, with all this, with all this amalgamation. You know, we were doing fine before.
Well, 20 years ago, we all fought amalgamation, but unfortunately it was rammed down our throat. And Scarborough right now is getting not its fair share. Everything, all the taxes that are being raised are used to provide and upgrade city infrastructure. And city infrastructure, when you look at the city of Toronto, it's downtown, which is the older part, and a lot of the money has been spent downtown. So Scarborough has to get its fair share.
Exactly. Downtown is one part of the city. It's not the only part of the city.
Well, taxpayers, and and we deserve equal opportunity and equal mobility and equal rights and equal infrastructure building.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about our dysfunctional city council. What is it that you will be doing differently when you become part of the city council?
Let me give you a scenario. What happened? This is we were invited to go and present to City Planning Committee about the bus garage on Kennedy McNichol, and we were told that the hearing started at 9:30, and then we'd go all day. So we were there from 9:30, and we did not get to make a presentation until 4 o'clock. There were about 5 or 6 different community groups, and they had their lawyers with them. So these community groups kept their lawyers from the morning until the afternoon. This is around like 6 hours. A lawyer makes anywhere between $200 to $300. Lawyers were making money while they were waiting to make a presentation to the city council, to the committee. So one of the things that happens federally is that we schedule a committee meeting, and we have our witnesses, and we schedule times in order for them to speak. And we say to people coming at this time, at this time, at this time. Very easily, the city planning committee could have said to people that were going to be presenting at the garage, you're going to speak at 4 o'clock, come in around 2 o'clock, and it was between 2 to 5 you get to speak. No, they didn't say that. Everybody come in at 9:30. That's totally dysfunctionality.
Absolutely.
That is totally a waste. Taxpayers a waste of money. Not because city council is sitting, but the fact that they have to have lawyers or advocates, and they're paying them to be there with them. So this is where the city is failing. This is where other governments have tried it, and they found different ways of working that the city has to look at. And that's what I'll be bringing to the city is some knowledge from another level of government, an opportunity to try new things, and an opportunity to express new and fresh ideas. There's other things that have been tried in other levels of government, and they worked, and it's about time that we also try them in the City of Toronto. City of Toronto, as it stands right now, it has 44 councillors, and anytime anybody wants to get up, they get up and they speak, they get up and they make a motion and everything else. Although, I mean, going back to that example that I was talking about, the City Planning Committee decided that we were not going to move forward, and the bus garage was going to be, was going to go back to the drawing board. What happened? Somebody moved it in city council and said, I want to move it in city council that this thing goes forward. So although the city planning committee said no, and the people that presented, were very happy with this, here we go, city council opening it up again. Damn that you got the right to do that. But if you got the right to do that, then why in God's name do you have the committee, and why did you invite the people to come and present at the committee and speak at the committee, and then you turn around and you kill it? That's totally dysfunctional.
I know. And another thing that really gets to me is many times we get to see these councillors talking and dealing with issues that have nothing to do with the City of Toronto. For example, not too long ago, about a week or 10 days ago, there was this councillor who wanted to bring about a motion to change the national anthem of Canada. What has that got to do with the City Council?
Well, it goes to show you the mentality of some of the individuals that are there. I mean, going back, we have shark fin soup. Shark fin soup is a delicacy that is sold at Chinese restaurants, and a lot of the Chinese people enjoy eating shark fin soup. Was a city councillor downtown, and she decided all of a sudden we're not going to have shark fin soup, and the fin soup was going to be, charged, and it was going to be taken to court. So all the restaurateurs got together and took the city to court. It costed $500,000 of city money
Yes.
on lawyer fees and court fees, and after that they backed away. Now that's $500,000 of your money and my money.
Exactly.
$500,000 that could be used to make a community center better, that can be used for programs. I mean, the city councilor has to decide. You're elected to deal with, one thing. And we look for a couple of things. Don't cross that line.
Exactly. You must stay focused on what your mandate is and what you should be doing. It's doing things like that. They come to us to get elected, and then once we elect them, then they want to do their own agendas. Like this is.
Well, the unfortunate part is that city councilors, people when they go vote for city council, the turnout is very low. It's around 35 to 40%, and people vote for the incumbent because they know the name. That has to be addressed. People have to be encouraged to go out and vote. Although
Yes.
municipal politics, a lot of people think is not important, it is very important because
Of
municipal
course, I've become a little bit concerned because Toronto for the first time is not on the radar of all these immigrants. I mean, I'm an immigrant, you're an immigrant,
but it's on the world radar because of
Yes.
Ford and the antics that he played.
Yes, and so we need to redirect that traffic back to the city, right? We need to be more competitive. I mean, look at the taxes that we're having to pay, and now, Olivia Chow, she wants to raise the land transfer tax
Well,
again. What is wrong with
if
her?
you got a house over $2 million, you want to, you should pay land transfer tax. Hold on a second. When's the last time that you looked at a house? When's the last time that you looked at a house of 3,000 square feet where a person with 4 or 5 kids has to buy in order to live? That's nothing less than about, $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million. So Olivia Chow, I mean, although she talks a fair game, I think she needs to sort of.
Yeah, it's scary because this is the only industry that is doing relatively well,
And she wants to attack the real estate industry. She wants to
Yeah,
attack
so
the real
that's
estate
why
industry.
it shows the disconnect that some
And
of
the
these people
dysfunctionality-
have.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I will say the right things to get elected. I will say the right messages, but the right messages actually don't mean much, because when you're aiming your focus, when you say over $2 million, well, a lot of the houses that we got in the city of Toronto are close.
A tiny little place is like $500,000.
well, I mean-
So what is she talking about?
Well, one of the things that we must address is the opportunity for young people to buy a home, the opportunity
Yes.
for young people to be landowners. I mean, when you've got places that are selling for $500,000, how is my children going to be able to afford this?
Exactly, and we have to think about that.
Yes,
Yes,
not only
we-
think about it, but also have to act about it.
That's right. So I know that it is difficult, that there is not anybody who doesn't know you. You're one of the most famous faces that people recognize, not just because you are on TV or on the media, but also because you have been personally involved in helping so many people. But if there is someone out there who has not heard of you and happens to
Especially
be
if
in
there's
your,
somebody out there in Ward 39 that hasn't heard of me, then I'm not doing my job. 39 is a great ward, is the northern part of my federal riding, the old federal riding, and I'm
Yes.
very happy in what I've engaged. And I'm confident the outcome people in Ward 39 will speak.
That's
But if anybody wants to get in touch with me,
where can they reach you?
phone number is 416-321-2788. Website is www.jimkarygiannis.net. KARYGIANNIS.net. Get on the web, send me an email, call me up, and I'd love to chat with you.
Yes, and I can personally vouch for it that Jim is very, very accessible. And if you call him, he will answer his phone and get back to you. So thank you once again for being
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So if you're new to Canada and would like to buy your first home in Canada and are not sure about what is involved in purchasing your first home, we have a real estate expert in the studio who's going to give you helpful hints. So Jay, thank you for being here.
Good to be here, Molly.
Okay, so if someone who's come brand new to Canada,
Sure.
and the first dream I know most immigrants have is to buy their first home.
Absolutely.
And so What should they be doing?
Well, save money. I say as a first time, well, as a buyer, you don't need a lot of money. You need a 5% down, maybe a 10%, but you need three things. Go get a job, a secure job. There could be a person doing business which they would need 2-3 years of time. But get a secure job, build down payment, and go get a credit card. The reason is,
Now, most people are scared of credit cards. Why should they get a credit card?
even if you go and pay it off the next day, go get a credit card to build credit history.
Why is credit history important?
Because banks like to see your payment trends and history over the last so many years, and they see that you paid your bills on time and not have anything that's you run away from a bill, have collection agencies chasing you, then they're comfortable to give you the money.
So, in other words, your credit history
Yes.
shows your patterns of
Absolutely.
paying back your
That is correct.
your loans.
Yes, that's correct.
right. So that gives them a fair indication as to whether or not you're responsible
That's right.
with your financial obligations or not. So credit is important.
Very important.
Okay, so how far back should they? Can 6 months be enough?
No.
Okay.
They look at about 2 years of credit history generally.
Okay. All right. And what else is important?
Well, I've already mentioned that fact that you need to have a down payment, you need a good job, and 2 years on the job preferably, and a permanent job is the ideal scenario. And number 3 is your credit history for 2 years. And with that, you must be ready with the job letter and pay stubs to give to them. If you have these 3 things, and there's 2 families, husband and wife are working, you have all of the above mentioned items, then now you're in a position to sit in front of a mortgage specialist at a bank or a private, a trust company at your home or the bank, giving you advice.
Okay, so do you recommend that people walk into cold turkey into a bank and ask for, a pre-approval, or is it advisable that they sit down with a mortgage consultant through their realtor first, because they can usually help you in putting everything together before you walk into a bank, and they usually get the mortgages from the bank.
That's right.
For them at no cost.
Absolutely.
Right.
You see, it's not really that one size fits all, because there are different, something like about 80, there are the 4 or 5 big banks, we know that. There's about 80 financial trust regulated, registered financial institutions that are out there in Canada. Did you know that? Now, any of these can give a mortgage, but some of them will specialize in certain areas. Let's say for people newer on the job. Some of them may provide financing for people who are self-employed, people with 5%, people with rental incomes. For example, one bank might say, if you've got a basement downstairs and they may require to be certified, but if they do, then they will give credence to the basement income that you have as well. So they will look at all those factors in giving you a mortgage, which can be very helpful today. In spite of the low interest rates, people still do have issues, and that's actually a good thing.
Okay. All right. So if you are a first-time buyer and are not sure about how things work out here in Canada, you don't need to be afraid or be scared. There are people who are here committed to making it happen for you. So your dream of owning your first home can become a reality.
Absolutely.
Where can they reach you, Jay, if they have any questions?
My mobile, 647-273-1119.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
That's all for this week. I hope to see you again, same time, same place. But before I go, I would like to remind you that to be good and kind to a stranger is a good thing.